Hi there, welcome to No Nonsense Whiskey. My name's VinPF and on today's episode we're doing another sample Saturday, and this time we're covering the Meikle Toir. Another lovely pronounceable word there. Luckily it came with a little pronunciation guide in this one here. Now if you don't know about the sample Saturday videos, it's something I don't do very often, but recently actually I've consecutive weeks now I've done a couple of these because sample sets are coming through. Now luckily I'm one of the lucky people that gets some sample sets every now and again. So what I've started to try and do is cover them on sample Saturday videos to differentiate them from my kind of review videos. I don't really like reviewing sample sizes, although that said, this time round I've been given 100ml samples, which is probably just about fine. You know, sometimes they come through as like 25ml, 30ml, 50ml even, but 100ml is a pretty good wedge. But even still, this is a good opportunity for me to show you a kind of vertical tasting through a range, which is what I like doing with the sample Saturdays. You won't see me doing a kind of like a one sample Saturday. I don't think that's going to happen. I think probably more likely I would do Instagram content. Anyway, besides the point. Really, again, if you're not too well versed in these kinds of videos, I don't tend to edit my videos much anyway, but these ones will be even kind of less edited because really I go into these blind. You know, I might try them a little bit before. Sometimes I get given some documents to read off, but this is kind of less about me reviewing the liquid, but more just bringing them to you with a little bit of me kind of telling you what I think about each one and maybe picking a favourite at the end of it. But yeah, in any case, what we've got then today is this, I'm going to say it says Meikle, so I'm just going to call it Meikle Toir. This is the peated Speyside whiskey from the guys at Glenallachie, which is really interesting. You know, they don't tend to do much peated stuff at all, so they started doing peat in 2018, I guess, where they did 2 weeks of a peated run, and this is what we've got from it. We've got 4 releases, which is an interesting choice, but we'll go through that later on. We've got a kind of original, standard release original, a sherried one, a Chinquapin one, and a turbo at the end. Now, if you've been keeping an eye on social media, which I'm sure you have if you're here watching this, then you'll know that this got released last week and it just kind of lit up. You know, it was the first I heard of it last week. I didn't know they were planning this. And these got sent to me post-release, let's say. So, yeah, it lit up social media. People have been buying them. People have been giving them kind of rave reviews. So this will really be for the people that have seen it, are interested in it, but weren't sure if they should pick it up, because it's not a cheap way of doing whiskey, because we've got each one of these is basically 50 quid, give or take 1 or 2. I think, actually, generally speaking, the most expensive one tends to be the original, running at like 51. So really, they're all 50 quid each. So yeah, if you were going to get all 4, 200 notes, a lot of money. But yeah, let's get into each one then and see what we've got. I'm going to be referring to my notes a lot, and as always, there'll be links in the description to the websites for these, but also, should you want to purchase them at any point, you can go and check out my affiliate links below, and that just helps the channel out, gives me a little bit of a percentage. But yeah, as I said, this is, it's Billy Walker, classic Billy Walker, well known within the whiskey industry, and he's started doing this peated stuff from Glenallachie, which is pretty awesome. First one then, we've got this original. Now, I'll show you this, but I won't stay up on the screen. You can pause it if you want to see it too much, but maybe my lights won't allow it. But essentially, the first 3 of these are peated to 35 ppm. I think these are all 50% as well. 50, okay, no, sorry, I lied. 50%, 48, 48, 50. Okay, so they're all 5 years old. These first 3 are 35 ppms. This last one is 71 ppms, but we'll get into that sort of when we get to it. All slightly different cask types. This first one then, they've called it the original, but it's first fill bourbon barrels, virgin oak and rye barrels, which is interesting. Let's have a look. All natural coloured, non-chill filtered, all things that we like to see. They're all, ever so slightly different, with the turbo being the darkest of them all. But let's get onto the nose and see what we've got. Now these guys are saying bacon spices, burnt honey and espresso, hazelnuts, smoked almonds, butterscotch. I mean, it's definitely a medicinal kind of peat, that's for sure, which I'm okay with. It's got some sweetness to it. I get the bacon spices. I'm not sure about burnt honey. I'm not really sure what that smells like. Never burnt any honey. I don't really get any coffee notes off it either, but that's just me. Yeah, I could be convinced about a nuttiness. Let's try on the palate. Oh yeah. Now there's again, reading off this, chocolate, honey, cinnamon, ginger, oak smoked sugar rather. Actually don't get cinnamon, which is good because I don't really like the flavour of cinnamon. Now it is very peaty, you know, it's not overly so, but at 35 ppms, you know, you'd start to consider this to be mid-level peated. You know, I think heavily peated tends to be from about 50 onwards, but I think Ardbeg, for instance, is like 55 ppm. So yeah, 35, we're talking, you know, it's peated. You know you're drinking peated whiskey. So for me, an absolute winner. I love peated whiskey. I've actually really enjoyed this original one. I suspect that it won't get as much love as the other ones because it doesn't seem as interesting from the first get-go. But for me, stripping away all the fancy casks, you know, just giving it some American oak, some virgin oak. The rye, I'm not really getting that in here at all, which is good because I don't really like rye. But yeah, getting that stripped back vibes, I'm into that. A strong start indeed. Now the next one, flipping over, we have the sherry one. Not sure why they've gone with this kind of sherry one, the sherry one and the Chinquapin one. Bit of kind of Friends vibes, I guess. But yeah, again 5 years old. Again 35 ppms, 48% this time, which I guess is why it comes through a little bit cheaper. This one here is a mixture of ex-bourbon barrels, which it says followed by, so I guess finished in PX and Oloroso sherry puncheons. So yeah, typically speaking, I'm not a huge fan of kind of sherry finished whiskies. However, I've discovered recently that I am a big fan of the mixture of sherry and peat, specifically PX actually. So it's interesting to see that PX is in this. Let's get onto the nose then and see what we've got with this one. Oh, okay, interesting. I'm gonna go. Hang on. Yeah. Now that's really interesting because it's really chilled out the nose. I mean, unmistakable sherry influence, but it's not as peated on the nose as the original is, which is good. You know, it's good. You know, it's nice and fruity. Definitely tannic. You know, you're getting a little bit more tobacco vibes off of this one. All right, let's get onto the palate then. Okay, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely more understated than the previous in terms of the peatiness. Still the same sort of 35 ppms. However, you're getting that extra complexity with the sherryness coming through to it. So we're getting a lot of those dark fruits, the kind of chocolatey vibes, as it's saying here. This is a dark chocolate, smoked honey and mocha. Not getting the coffee again on this. Treacle, yes. Burnt sugar, not so much. Puffs of peat smoke, yes. So yeah, definitely that kind of like figgy element, that tobacco-y element coming through. Really enjoying that. Now straight away, that is a tough call in between these two about which one I've preferred so far. They're both excellent, but I can imagine it being mood related for me about whether I would be interested in the kind of sherryness or not sherryness. Sometimes I just want to have a nice big thick peatiness in my drink. In any case then, let's move on to the next one. So this is something I'm not too sure about, to be fair. The Chinquapin one. Don't know much about Chinquapin, must admit. Here it says, aged in superior Chinquapin virgin oak barrels sourced from the northern Ozark region of Missouri, which is interesting because I'm watching Ozark right now. Good show. So yeah, we have Chinquapin one. It's American oak ex-bourbon barrels followed by Chinquapin virgin oak barrels. There you go. So again, 35 ppms, again 50 quid. Let's check it out. Okay, that's interesting. Again, I'm going to refer back to the first one. Do you know what? I don't really know what I'm smelling, is the truth. It's definitely a little more understated than the original. Except it kind of like, for me, straight off the bat after just having the sherry one, it's definitely lacking something. However, it's still got a very robust nose on it. It's not as peaty, but I'd have a hard time deciding what this was if it was a blind tasting for sure. Let's try on the palate and see what we get there. Okay. This isn't. Yeah. Okay. All right. So this one's saying for taste. Again, cocoa. I'm not getting any coffee on these, but creme brulee, yes. Toasted almonds, getting a little nuttiness. Cinnamon, no. Aniseed, no. Campfire smoke, yes. So I get it. For me, I mean, straight off the bat, that's an easy one to put in order so far. That's definitely my least favourite of them all. Still a good whiskey, I have to say. Still a good whiskey. So I would imagine you'd be, if you're the kind of person who likes your peated whiskey for a start, but likes kind of interesting and kind of innovative things to try, then this one's going to be the one for you, the Chinquapin one, because the other ones are kind of like paths trod before, I guess. Still good whiskies, obviously. I'm not trying to detract from the whiskies, but to try something slightly different. But for me, maybe it's just because I've just had the sherry one, but it's not quite hitting the same kind of endorphin levels that I want to see. But good, still a good whiskey, very good. Finally, then we've got the Turbo. I'll show you again this Turbo. Good name. I like the name of this. It doesn't really fit in with the theme of the range, but I appreciate the word turbo because that I mean it's probably why it's sold out already, right? So they've kind of like lent themselves into something a little bit more interesting straight away. You can see it's the darkest of them. I don't know if you can just see that. It is the darkest of them. Now this one here is a little bit more interesting, I guess, after just saying that, because it's 71 ppm. Which is basically what they're saying here, taking the heart of our distillate. So if you know your whiskey making process, the first thing you'll do is sift off the kind of heads, which is usually not good, and then the hearts is what you decide is what you're going to take for your whiskey. Tails being the rough stuff at the end, the kind of low alcohol, watery crap you don't want, and that usually tends to go back in anyway. But I guess what they're talking about here is if you've got your hearts, that is the Glenallachie style, there might also be like a sweet spot within that's really quite narrow, but you couldn't ordinarily just take that for your whiskey making because you'd waste so much of your liquid that it just cost you so much money. So people don't tend to kind of narrow it out that much. Narrow is good, but yeah, this I guess they're talking about a narrow cut here. It's 3 American oak virgin casks and 5 Oloroso hogsheads. So the other ones didn't say that. They just said big old, a batch release, whereas this is specifically 8 casks with no finishing. Doesn't mention any finishing. That's interesting. Straight off the bat, I'm surprised that this is the same price as the other ones. True story. Don't know why, but yeah, again, peat with Oloroso. Probably going to be a winner. Let's have a look, see what we've got on the nose then. Okay. Hang on. I need to get my nose right in this. Now, I don't get any of the same peat on this that I did the others. What I am getting is, right here, Manuka honey, worn leather, yes. Burnt orange peel, not sure. Maybe. Sultanas, yeah, I guess so. Interesting nose. The Manuka honey for sure, bags of it. Okay, let's try on the palate. Oh my days. Taste intense peat, honey and mocha, smoked spices, roast chestnut and charred oak. So not too dissimilar to the other ones, but oof, that is a good tasting whiskey. Intense peat, yes. Honey, yes. Mocha, no. Smoked spices, I guess so, yeah. Chestnuts, yes. Charred oak, yes. Okay, put that away. Now, I'm having a bit of a moment with this one. This has got, like, in comparison to the other ones, like, again, all good whiskies, but this one's got a much richer, more viscous mouthfeel. Now it's a lot as well. Very peaty. Quite an assault on the senses, but in a good way. If you like your peat, you'll know what I mean. Because peat lovers, you know, you don't. If you don't like that assault on your senses, you don't like peat, I imagine, because peat is an assault on the senses, and it's not a calming whiskey. It's not an easy drinking whiskey. It's not one that you're going to sit there and kind of like. I mean, I would, right, and so would probably some other peat fans out there, but not for casual sipping. I don't think. For me, if I had the complete set as 4 bottles, this would be the one that I stuck at the back and hid from the rest of the world, whereas the other 3 would be pretty happy to drink whenever. Okay, so I think it's pretty obvious which one I like the best. The Turbo, actually quite a long way ahead. My least favourite is the Chinquapin. These two, I'm going to stick with my original and say that they're pretty hard to split, to be fair. Gun to head, I think I would probably prefer the original and then the sherry one after, but like I said earlier, that's going to depend on my mood on the day. You know, today it appears that I haven't got a particularly sweet palate, but on days that I will have, I'm definitely going to be leaning into that sherry one a bit more often than the original, or probably even the Turbo. You know, the sherry vibes on this one aren't as high as the actual sherry one, but I think that's probably because of the higher ppm kind of really taking that leading role in that one. But yeah, for me, what a great set of whiskies. I think it's going to be a tough sell to you guys, because obviously you're probably going to want to try all 4 of them like I've been able to, but that's going to be a hard thing to do for most people, myself included. But yeah, as a peat fan and as someone who really likes peat and sherry apparently, that's my order. I think gun to head, it's going to be the Turbo, the original, the sherry, the Chinquapin. Whether that leads you or not to make your choices, I don't know. Let me know in the description, in the comments below, which you preferred, which ones you've bought, which ones you've tried. I've seen a lot of my Discord guys have been trying different ones of these and have enjoyed them in different levels. Chinquapin tends to be one that people are either really liking or maybe not so much, but yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think of this range. I think it's really wonderful that they're entering into that kind of peated whiskey market. I'm all for it. The only thing I would say as a final point, probably not many of you have got this far, but if you have, cheeky thumbs up. The only thing I would say is I'm a bit surprised they've released all 4 at once, is my honest thing. You know, if they've called these the 2003 expressions, I think. Just trying to remember now, bear with. 2003 versions, whatever they are. Maybe it's just this one. 2003 edition. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, maybe the Turbo is just one that's going to be coming out every year. If it were me, I think I would have staggered this release a little bit. You've got 4 expressions, you've got 4 quarters in the year. Might have made more sense to release them kind of like every 3 months, because then I think more people would have bought all of them then. Now as it stands, I don't know, maybe these are going to be so widely available that they're not going to sell out too quick. But I kind of feel like a lot of people are going to be robbed of the chance of trying all 4 eventually, just because of pure cost. You know, they're not going to be able to buy all 4 of them. But what do I know? I hope these do really well, because I hope we see them every year going forwards, because what a fantastic thing to experience. Well, yeah. But there you go. Again, let me know what you think in the comments below, and we'll see you again on another Sample Saturday coming soon. Cheers. Definitely a peaty vibe going on again. It disappeared. Guess I'll just sit here and wait, shall I?